I was angry, sad, depressed, scared, raising 3 kids by myself. They were 6, 3, and 1. Um, I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills. I was 22 years old. Um, I couldn't see how things could ever be better. Like, my life was over. My name's Ashley Casey. I have been attending Hope since 2013, and I was introduced by a friend.
My name's Jason Casey. I was introduced to Hope by my wife Ashley in 2017 and have been attending ever since. On June 16, 2010, I made a decision that would change the lives of 2 families forever. Me and Ashley were both really young. We had 3 young children, and with the stress of everyday life, and most of all, not having a relationship with God at all, neither one of us sought a relationship with Christ at all. And it just made it a lot easier to make bad decisions. And one specific night, I left after work and went and hung out with some friends and was out drinking, and I made a decision to drive home early that next morning without having been to sleep. I blacked out and fell asleep behind the wheel, and I was coming up over a hill, and on the other side of that hill I went left of center, and a gentleman, 60-year-old man, was on his way to work that morning, and I struck him head on in a head-on collision at 55 miles an hour. The next thing I remember, I woke up in the hospital with Ashley, some family, and a couple friends standing around the hospital bed, and they did let me know that they were informed that the driver of the other vehicle did not make it. I went in front of the judge, and he sentenced me to 7 years in a state prison.
I couldn't see how things could ever be better. Like, my life was over. I was so angry with him and just the situation. I felt terrible for our kids, that they weren't going to have a dad anymore.
About a year into my prison sentence, I got a phone call down to the captain's office that my brother had passed away from a drunk driving as well. He made a choice to drive, and he went into a high-speed chase with the police department of North Ridgeville and crashed into a Walgreens and ended up dying from that. At that moment, I was just so sick of all the hurt and the pain that alcohol and bad decision was making in my family, that I had this overwhelming feeling come over me that I had to get into the prison chapel. And I walked into that prison chapel, and I talked with the chaplain, and I asked about their services and what I could get involved in, and I started going to church.
There's one night that I remember so specifically. I had read the kids a book, tucked them into bed, trying to pretend to just be okay and normal. But I was feeling so defeated and scared, and I put them to bed, and I went and laid in bed, and I cried like I've never cried before. Loud and hard, and I was so desperate I didn't know what to do. I felt like I had no options, and I just started praying, and even out loud, not even just in my head, praying out loud and asking God to just help me get through 1 hour, one day, not to change the situation, which surprised me that I wasn't asking for that. I just needed him to give me strength. I laid there crying in bed and praying, and all of a sudden I stopped crying instantly, and I felt God's love and comfort. And it was a feeling that it's so hard to even find the words to explain. Like, I literally felt like I could feel his arms around me. I didn't have any answers. Nothing felt solved or changed. It was just, I felt peace. No matter what tomorrow brings, no matter how hard it is, I know that God's going to get me through this. when this first happened, because of my anger, my initial thoughts were, I'm not taking my kids to a prison to see their dad. That was me controlling the situation. That was my anger. The kids and I went to visit him every other weekend. We were allowed to give him a hug when we first got there, and then that was it. We sat at the table across from each other. But we had family time, and we cherished that time. We would play games and pretend like we were just at home like a family. I think our relationship is better than it's ever been. We regularly attend church. We host a small group. We do our own Bible studies as a couple, which we love. Our kids have a good relationship with God. Our oldest just moved out, and when he broke our hearts and told us he was going to move out, the first thing he said was, I promise I'll meet you guys at church every Sunday. And he has. He knows it's so important to us. I love my kids so much, and I can't give them what God gave to me. I think the courageous thing to do is to lean on God and just give it to him, give him the stress, the anxiety, and trust that he knows what's best for you.